Hi, I decided to go over some of the libraries and plugins that I'm using on actually some of my products. So these plugins are the ones that I find them useful, and I think they will be useful to you too. Um, the way that it works is actually um, I'm planning to teach to you so I can learn them better too. So it's a win-win situation for all of us. Um, the first library that I like to talk in Node.js is Sharp Image Library. Um, I personally think the library didn't get as much love as it deserves. Um, the original library is written in C and it's pretty damn fast. Um, and now we have it in Node.js too, which is a very, very, very good win. So basically, to just give a context to you, we can almost do anything that online services like Cloudinary or ImageX does with the images in our own server. I do not recommend it, but that option is there. Um, when we go over the library, I will actually show you how we can mix and match Cloudinary with Sharp to get the result that we want. Sometimes we don't want to share all our images to the Cloudinary because uh, for privacy issues, we don't want to uh, send everything to the Cloudinary. In those cases, Sharp will be a lifesaver. So let's just stop talking and actually get to work. So in order to get Sharp, I'm going to start a new project. The project that I'm going to start will be a very simple Node.js project. I will not use any sorts of TypeScript or Babel config uh, for now, just because I feel like those libraries will come. Those things will be a little bit in our way of actually learning about Sharp itself. But I personally, in my projects, I do use TypeScript almost all the time. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go get going. So let's do init project. Yeah, we call it Sharp Image, and everything is good. And now we do have a package.json here. Yes. Okay. So the next step would be to actually get the Sharp library. So let me close this one. So in order to get a Sharp library, we can just do the yarn at Sharp. Um, from my experience, this package works most of the time, but sometimes there are issues. So be prepared to look at your computer and make sure that your system has a prerequisites met if the package does not install. I did have the I did work with this package before, so that's why it is installing without any issues. All right. So from here, let's actually just create, not there. Let's create an index.js file, index.js, uh, no, index, index.js file. And just to test it, let's do the good old console log, hello world, and index. Well, works. Okay. Now let's actually go and bring in the Sharp. Uh, I'm just going to use the require syntax again because I don't want to set up any Babel or anything. But you definitely like if it's a bigger project, I would recommend you doing that. Okay, so const Sharp equals require of a Sharp. Okay. Now, in order for us to actually get a sense of how the Sharp works, uh, the main way that the Sharp works is with images. So I actually went ahead and get some images from the Unsplash. Unsplash is like an imaging websites that artists go and upload their pictures. And I believe that you can use them as long as you actually uh, give them credit. So go ahead and use it and give the artist credit. And that's what I'm doing here. As you see, like I have the two images from two folder, and I'm giving the artists credit with their name on the image. Okay, so the way that the Sharp works is with promises, and what we can do, the first thing that we might need like to do is actually get the information about the images. So the way that we can do it is simply calling Sharp. Um, let's do Sharp, and then now this input can be different things. It can be, as you see here, it can be a string, it can be a buffer. Let's bring it back. Comment. Yeah. So there are a couple of things that it basically can. It can be like a buffer or a string, and then there are a couple of options that you can supply. So let's just give it the first one. So the buffer is something that we will talk about in later, but now let's just give it a string. That string can be actual look like a path to the file that we want to know about. So in here, the path that we like to know, the path that we have is images, and let's hope that I type it correctly, Niels. Niels Linden JPEG. Yep, I got it correctly. The image is showing here. Yay. So now that we define the input to our Sharp library, now we can do a lot of stuff with it. So this is kind of like a pipeline. The first thing that we can do is like, let's say metadata. So metadata will give us information about the image. Okay, so let's go and see what we get. So let's do a data, and let's just console.log. Let's do actually JSON stringify data null 4. So this is just going to show the data about that image. All right, so this is the buffer. Actually, I shouldn't show this one, but okay. Actually, we have the actual data. That's what I care about. Okay, so as you see here, this is the part that is mostly concern us. So the format of the image, the width and the height, uh, and the rest. Okay. Now I personally don't know all these metadata options, but if you like to know more about them, the Sharp library has a very good like examples. Now, what I experience with the Sharp library itself is that it somehow doesn't like it's very advanced in my way. Like it I think it can explain much better in terms of like what's going on with the actual Sharp, but it's just too much too much. How can I like it's very it's not the best well written documentation for a person that doesn't have any knowledge of image processing. So we will go over how to fix this issue, but keep that one in mind. So let's go back. Let's go back to our library. So as you see here, we get our information. Now we can do a couple of things here. Like we can um, let's say we want to resize the image, right? This is one of the things that we like to do. We want to resize our images to the size that we want. So the way that you can resize this is simply, let's remove this one and we do a resize. Okay. Now, when you do a resize, you have to give it a width and a height, and options. Now, the options that we are talking about are kind of a little bit complicated to explain. So here's what we will do. So let's actually give it a width and height, and then we will go over options. So this has like 6,000 by 4,000, so we will give it a 300 by 200. Now, here's the options that are coming. So there are a couple of options. What we can do is something like this. We can say, okay, do a fit, and the fit will be, now see, there are different fits that we can go for. I will go, let's try, actually, let's try different ones and see how it works. So let's do contain. And then in order to for us to set the results, we actually have to output the results somehow. So there are a couple of ways that we can output. The same way that we can get different inputs to the Sharp library, we can have different outputs in the Sharp library as well. So the way that I can do it is with to the file. So as you see here, like I have to file and I have to buffer. I don't know about to format. I'm pretty sure like it changes the format, but generally speaking, I was using to file and to the format, to file and to buffer the most of the time. So the way that we can do it now is we have to give it a path to the output file that we want to. So let's again go to image and say edited.jpg. And it should basically give us a new file here. So let's try it. All right. And here we go. So this is the edited images, and this is our big image. So let's see if I can put them together. Yep. So you see, they are different. Like the right image is the one that is basically the actual image, and the left image is the one that we edited. But keep in mind, this is something happened here. So while Sharp is actually scaling the image down, it did something very interesting. It actually reduced the quality of the image. By default, Sharp reduces the quality of the image, I believe, about like every resize that you do, it basically do it by like 80%. So when you convert it, like basically you resize it and then export it to the file, it reduce the quality to 80%. So now, let's say if we can fix that issue. The way that I can fix it is like I want to say I want a JPEG, and then here I can specify the quality. So instead of 80%, let's do 100% and see if it makes any difference. Okay, so now it's a little bit more sharp, but it's still like it's not as sharp as the actual image. Now here's the part that I'm telling you, like we have to play with it. So now let's go instead of fill, instead of contain, let's do call or fill. Let's see how the fill works, how the fill makes it different. So this is the result of like fill. The problem here that is like the actual sizing that I'm putting is very small. So let's Let's do like 1,000 with 1,500. So I think it's better because now the image will be a little bit bigger. Yeah. So now you see, now it cannot fit everything. Okay, let's put it this way. Now we cannot fit everything, so we see much more of how things work. Now, I believe that what the field does now here is like try to squish everything in one place. Now let's do, I think fit is itself is an option. Let's see inside. Let's look at it, and you see the differences. Okay, so now you can play with these options and see which resizing option will give you a better opinion. Now here's the trick. As I mentioned, sharp documentation sometimes is not as useful as it sounds. Like, I mean, it's not bad written, but I feel like it's just like for very advanced users. What I found useful is actually Cloudinary documentation. So you can go to Cloudinary and look at the documentation, and let's just go to Cloudinary, and from there we will go to documentation. Let's see if you can get the documentation. All right. Okay. So now, as you see, there are different documentation. We are specifically interested in the Node.js. So if you look at the resizing here, it's actually the same concept will apply over there. So I think it's a very like a good way of seeing how things are. See, like width, crop. See, like the crop will be the same idea as like a fill or fit that we had over there. So this is a very good way of like relating what those options do to our images. The other way, of course, is like as I'm doing it right now, is just convert it to the JPEG image and see the output and compare the output with the actual result that you like. That's another option as well. Now, besides doing it to the file, you can of course do it to the buffer. I'm going to a buffer, but I'm going to explain what it means so we will have a good idea of what happens. So to buffer, we'll convert the image to the base64, and you can literally send those images as a string from your server to a client, and then the browser are able to show them. So let's console log the data so you get a sense of how the data looks like. As soon as I run it, you will see a bunch of strings printed on the, see, there are just bunch of strings printed on here. That's all it is. Like, it's just, actually, let's just do it dot to string, and I believe I have to do base64. I'm not sure. Let's see. I might have to do a toString. Yeah. Let's go. Let me look at my notes. I think I have to do something like that. Base 64. And let's clear our console. Let's see if it, yeah. So see, it just converts the whole image to a base 64. You can literally copy this like file. My terminal on my Mac doesn't support any more screwing up, but you can use this base64 image and send it to your client and then serve it with the same quality over there. I think this is a very good place to stop. Generally speaking, you have a couple of inputs into your Sharp image library and a couple of outputs, and this is the way that you can manipulate them. In the next video series, I will try to go more in depth in resizing into composition. Composition is one of the things that I think is very important. And output. We can have different outputs like for WebP or image optimized soft image optimized websites to use it. Um, and then I will try to compare Sharp with services like Cloudinary to see which ones are better for our use case. Thank you.